Every Christian has heard how important the Great Commission is. It's not so you can have a luxurious life, and if you do, there's nothing wrong with that. It is for you to continue sharing the gospel and are working with people who are.
And we've talked about this many times about how we're trained as pastors and church members to look at differences in doctrine instead of looking at the commonalities of the cross and saying, I can work with you. You're my brother. You're my sister.
Hi, welcome to Pastors Connect on Monday, August the 22nd. And boy, do I have news for you. I started to do a teaching today in Pastor Jones' wake of not being here for the moment, but I decided to tell you something that you really can use right now. One of the issues with revival is that we have people who come in and get saved and set free, and their past still trails them. For example, you may have someone that's been a drug addict for 30 years, and they have made special mistakes with their children, with relationships, with finances, with their body. And then once the knowledge comes that the mistakes they've made and the weight that it is, it can be very difficult to take a look and say, oh man, what have I done? Well, I have good news for you today. I'm going to tell you some wisdom that if you've made mistakes in the past that you regret, you wish you could undo them. I'm going to talk to you about how to live victorious and still have joy, even though that happened. So I'm not sure why we tend to worry about things that we cannot change, but if your past is your past, and there are no time machines, except in Hollywood, where we can go back and redo the things that we wish we hadn't done. So let me tell you about a scripture that I hope you'll mark down. It's Psalm 76. No, it isn't. It's Psalm 78, verse 35, and it reads like this. Then they remembered that their God was their rock and the Most High God their Redeemer. They remembered that God is their rock and the Most High God their Redeemer. I'm going to tell you a story to bring this home that I hope will help all of you who have made mistakes. Now, one of the most difficult mistakes that you'll ever make are mistakes you made with your children. And those you don't get a do-over, except maybe with grandkids, but you don't get a do-over. And so that can drive you nuts. What if I had been there? What if I had made a different decision? What if I had, you can just fill in that blank. Well, I was going through one of those moments with my children and just thinking about mistakes that I had made when I was talking to one of my mentors, Lisa Thresher. She's so wise. It's so important as you come into the kingdom to get surrounded by wise men and women who have known how to do it right. Not perfect, but know how to bounce back, know how to walk straight after they've been knocked down. So I was telling Lisa about this, and I was really sad. I had a lot of anxiety about it. All I could do was think about the mistakes I made. And she said, Lisa, she didn't say it exactly like this, but you're pretty full of yourself. And I was like, what? She said, there is one Redeemer, and you're not him. And if you think that you can redeem anything that's lost, broken, or stolen, you actually have made an idol out of yourself. Now, that was a strong word, and I could have gotten angry, and I might have been a little bit miffed. But then I realized the truthfulness that Christ really is our Redeemer. But I didn't know how to appropriate that to my situation where I had made the mistake. And here's what she told me. She said, Lisa, in every mistake that you've made, you can't fix it. Some parents, what they'll do is in order to redeem their mistakes, they will give their children anything that they want, which is not good. That's still making another mistake. They won't say no to their kids. We have people that have not been around their kids. They've pawned them off. They've been doing everything but training their children. So they've got 10, 12, 20 years lost. So how do you get that back? Well, you let them talk to you any way that they want to. You don't provide any structure because you never provided structure. So why should you now? We start enforcing penalties and punishments upon ourselves when actually all we have to do is appropriate that scripture, Psalm 78 and 35. And here's how you do it. Whatever mistake you've made that's causing you anxiety or strife, or you look back and you're anxious about that, you say, okay, God, I recognize this was a mistake. I can't fix it. But I call upon the Redeemer. You have redeemed my life, and I'm asking you to redeem this mistake with my son. Redeem this mistake with XYZ. Now, that does not mean that necessarily that everything's going to get fixed in one day. There's lots of opportunities that get missed, like education opportunities, relationship opportunities, housing opportunities, and you can lament over that every day, which is vain thinking, or you can go back and say, okay, God, I missed this. I was disobedient, but I would like for you to redeem it, because he is an expert at taking what was lost and broken and stolen and all of the regrets and turning it into something quite beautiful. So, I hope that's in a nutshell what you would do, but I want to tell you a resource that will be helpful to you. That's part of the teaching, how to appropriate Jesus as the Redeemer for any mistake that you make. And as you encounter people in the revival that are coming out of bondage, coming out of sin, I tell you, there's nothing you regret more than sinning. But once Jesus forgives you, if you need to forgive yourself and allow him to redeem those mistakes. That's good, isn't it? Put a thumbs up if you think that's good. All right. And then the next resource I want to tell you is there is a URL. It's called blueletterbible.org. In your Google thing, you can just put Blue Letter Bible or go to blueletterbible.org. You can put any scripture in there like Psalm 78:35 and put the scripture in there, and then it'll give you a list of the scripture, and you click on the words and it will give you the Greek or Hebrew meaning of that word. I did that with the word redeeming. I want to read that to you to tell you when it says that Christ is our Redeemer, this is the whole meaning of it. It means that we've been redeemed. He is our kinsman, our revenger, our avenger. He paid a ransom. He's the ransom payer. He's our deliverer. He's our kinsman part. He's our purchaser. He's our wisdom. So when it says he is our Redeemer, he literally is everything we absolutely need for the things that we cannot change. And if you will deliver into God's hands the things you cannot change, he will be able to take those things and either clean them up and put them back together, or he can even reach into the future, reach into the past, and begin to do something absolutely unbelievable. Now, when it comes to something that you know that you cannot change, let's say that you caused something that really harmed someone, the sanity of your mind will be dependent upon your ability to allow the Lord to redeem, restore, to give wisdom to that memory. And even if mankind will not forgive you, if you will embrace the fact that you are forgiven and he's given you a new slate and he can do mighty things, if you will grab hold of that promise, you can live the rest of your life with joy, not making the same mistakes, not building upon the old mistakes, but leaning in and allowing the Lord to cause you to live from glory to glory to glory. This is good news today for those of you that live in the past, that live in the what ifs, and that live in the regrets. Appropriate the Redeemer in every situation that you have, and you will find renewed passion for the word, for the Lord, and revival fires will begin to flow through you like never before. Well, thank you for joining me today. I want you to know that we're in revival again tonight with Bishop Lance Johnson at 7 o'clock. And next weekend, we're going to have Undignified leading worship at 7 o'clock. Saturday night, they have an event if you want to participate in that. And then Monday night, Pastor Clint Hopper will be here. So come out 6:30 Sunday night and 7 next Monday night. Thank you for joining me. Grab a hold of all of the blessings, of all of the promises, and all of the benefits Christ paid for. Let's not waste one beating that he took for us. Let's not waste one drop of blood. Let's participate in the fullness of the work of the cross and the resurrection power. This gospel is a gospel